bestie. I'm Faith OK.
And I'm Asia the Girl. So glad that you're here. Welcome to the OK Girl podcast.
We're doing it. We finally did it.
It's our dream. It's come true.
First step.
I know.
We've been talking about this for so long.
So long.
And by so long, I mean a month, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, okay. I feel like we can talk about this, like all the backstory of how this began. So that's going to kind of be a teaser accidentally to what the content is for today's podcast. We're doing great so far.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. The podcast is happening.
So I guess we can start with first what OK Girl is.
Yeah. Welcome.
Welcome to OK Girl that you have no clue what it is. So we just combined our names. That's that part. OK and Girl.
So crazy. Honestly, okay, I'm already getting ahead of myself, but like okay. All right. So we were going to start this podcast. We had a plan for it. I know that technically maybe we only thought about it a month ago, but we've been like thinking about content for a very long time. So when we finally came up to it that we're like, all right, we're starting this podcast, we were brainstorming, trying to use the technological tools that like give us prompts of like what cool names could be. Mm-hmm. And you know, every option was like not great. And then Faith randomly was like, wait, what about OK Girl? And I was like, Faith is a mastermind. She actually is brilliant. You guys don't know.
Me just staring at our screen names going, oh, OK Girl.
So good.
Yeah, so that's our name. And we'll tell you the story of like our friendship and how we got to be here creating OK Girl. But the idea for the podcast is that we are both delusional in our own ways. Delusion is a unique thing. It's not all the same for everybody. And so here we are, sharing our delusions, sharing the delusions of the world, and hopefully sharing your delusions.
Yes.
So I think that covers it.
Yeah.
That's you'll see
a broad enough brush.
Yeah, you'll get a little bit of us, a little bit of like crazy pop culture things maybe, or just like things that we're really into and want to talk about. And then your corner will be sharing your delusions related to whatever we're talking about. Or not. I'll listen to anything.
Yeah.
I love a delusion.
Okay. As per usual, we're already rambling. I feel like we've already gone off track.
But welcome. That's it. This is it.
Oh yeah, we're done. That's it. But no, we are gonna be talking about let's just like take a journey and like figure out the origin story of like who we are and how we met. Yeah. So I want to know a little bit more about you, Faith. Like, tell me about yourself.
Oh, about me.
Yeah.
I typically my intros for content involve that first. It's important to know I'm chronically online. I have been on the internet in some capacity since I was like 8 years old. And I'm now 24.
Look at her now.
Look at me now. 8-year-old me would eat this up, okay? But that plays into my content and like what I enjoy and what I talk about. And so like in terms of like we'll get into more of our friendship, but like you'll see it play out of like I'm gonna be bringing the most random things from the internet because I love the internet so much. So I think that's part of it. I love a cozy moment, but I also am a little bit of a menace.
You really are.
That's me. I'm just a cozy menace. I will ride or die for my friends, but also I just want to snuggle up and read a book. So
you're just a little softie.
I'm inwards a softie, and externally I'll fight you. That's
so true.
That's me.
I'll never forget one time we were talking about fight or flight, and Faith. Or maybe I'm conflating two stories, but I just remember specifically Faith was like, I think I was called to fight. Like
the Lord called me to fight.
I was like, this is who she is. She knows herself.
Totally joking there. But that is another aspect, I'll say that's like my third kind of point of me, is that like my faith does play a big role in who I am and like our friendship and just everything. I grew up as a pastor's kid, so that gives me a very interesting perspective on the church and on Christianity. And also I was like, we'll talk more in the future episodes, but like I had my journey in college ministry and now I serve in a different capacity with our church. And so I think that like my faith does drive who I am, but also like I have this not to be like I'm so unique and different, but like there is like
she's different.
she's like really good and different. No, but I think that like there's an awareness that some people in the faith lack, and like that's one thing that I am like I don't want to say proud of, but like that I think is important for who I am, is that I'm aware of the like through my journey in faith of like the church now and what Christianity is like, and I'm just trying to bring awareness to that in myself as well. So I don't know if that made any sense, but my Christianity plays a big part in who I am. That's the synopsis there.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I am just a girl. No,
just
me. So I also do content as Asia the Girl, and I feel like maybe probably can count on one hand how many people have like actually on their own understood why I named my like online persona Asia the Girl, because the whole thing is like, oh, Asia like the continent, and so it was like, you know, a riff on that. I was like, no, Asia the Girl, and you'd be so surprised how many people don't get it. So I'm like, maybe that was too like nebulous.
I can't believe you expected people to be racist.
You're right.
In this world, you thought they would just think
you're right.
you were just Asia the continent because you're Asian.
You're right. You said, well, this is crazy. But yeah, so that's like basically the reason why I made my name like my persona. But a little backstory in that, I feel like one of the ways that we connected is like we both are very likely, and hopefully you can identify too, probably undiagnosed ADHD. Like I'm like 99.99% sure I am. I have to be.
And let me tell you, once we get those diagnoses, we're
gonna run the world.
You will never stop us.
But I feel like this just like further like adds to my case that I probably am, is like I have dabbled in a lot of different kind of content. When I first started doing content, I don't know if I told you this part, but in college, I would say that's when I first technically started doing content creation, and I was doing wood burning, and I was like upcycling all these items I would get from thrift stores and making them like really pretty and that. Like etching stuff on it. And then from there it kind of focused more on food, and I think the reason why I didn't focus on food initially was because I was a poor college student and didn't have any money for groceries, so I was like, I'm just gonna go to the dining hall. I don't know which one for me. But I switched over to like cooking content, and then we can get into this like another episode at some point. I'm sure it'll come up. But I ended up switching to streaming from like produced content because I really loved like the live element, and I really loved that it was like community building and stuff. So long story short, I just really love to create spaces to have like friendships, let it be a safe space for people to obviously like, express themselves, but like build friendships together, like let it be a cool place to foster community. And so that kind of is like my I don't know, cop out for like if I want to do a random thing for like hyperfixate on it for 3 months. Like people are just there for the vibes. They're there for me. They're there for the vibes. It doesn't matter if we've never played this game before. It doesn't matter if we haven't done cooking content in 3 years. And the reason why you joined my community was because you were like super into my cooking content. They're still here. One of my boys, Crunchbite, who has been like part of our community for a long time. He came in probably my first couple streams, and he was like super into the like type of cooking I was doing. I have not done a cooking stream in like at least 2 years, but he's still here. So I guess it's working.
It's called variety.
It's called variety.
It's the spice of life.
Yeah. So I love to do content creation. I just like to be creative. I feel like the way that I always preface whenever I'm telling Faith I'm doing something creative is like, all right, so I was a crazy person again, and I had this vision of like what I wanted, whatever XYZ thing to look like. And so I spent the next like 2 hours hyperfixating, and here's this like completely animated video. The animated intro that you saw for this podcast, that was just like, I have a dream.
Yeah.
Of
well, no, I can speak to that because when we were deciding our schedule and like our editing and who's gonna do what responsibility, I was like, so we could record on Sundays and maybe post on Tuesdays? And then I was like, oh, but that might be a lot for you to edit and like do on your own. And she was like, you don't understand. I can get that done. I love editing. And I was like, if that's your hyperfixation,
yeah,
let's use it. Let's use that skill.
Right, exactly. We're just all about celebrating our strengths,
Yeah.
you know, our uniqueness.
Exactly.
What makes us who we are. Unique snowflakes or whatever. But yeah, so I'm just like all about like being creative for the sake of, you know, things being like fun and engaging, but I'm not really a perfectionist. I think that's what confuses people. Like they would think that because I like hyperfixate on things, I'm like all about like things have to be a specific way. I'm really not. I'm just like, I don't know, a crazy person. And I would say, I'll have to talk about this later, but recently I was doing this like strengths finder thing with someone who's like mentoring me, and she was like, I thought about you because she was asking, she's like, if you and your friends like went on a vacation together, like went on a trip together, what role would you play? And I was like, instantly I was like, Faith would be like already making a spreadsheet, like
I already have one.
Yeah, she already got it. She's good to go. You just like plug in your dates, plug in the location, she's got it. But then I was like, I feel like I'm just the person that's like making sure that everyone is like feeling good about what it is that we're doing next, and like if there is like people who don't agree, trying to figure out a solution that's like the path of least resistance. I feel like we've already experienced that in maybe not in like trip form, but in like event form.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I'm the peacemaker, the like, I don't know, of the group, and just like in life, for better or for worse. And then the last thing, yeah, like me and Faith, like the reason why we became friends was because we found ourselves at the same church, and my faith is like a big part of who I am and how I perceive relationships and just like the world around me. And I'm just really excited to, in that, there's just not, okay, I love all the people that I've connected with, at least for the most part, in this world as a believer, but you don't always find people who match your crazy in that world.
Yeah.
And so we found each other.
Yeah.
And I was like, girl.
I honestly would not have expected from our like first meeting or like anything I knew about you. I would not have thought that we would end up on this couch together.
You're so cute.
But yeah, I think that's really true, that like it is in like, I love all of our friends and like church family that we've met, but it is rare that you find, I don't know, it's just like the different bubbles that people were like growing up in, and like how they now are in their own bubbles or whatever, and like it is kind of somewhat rare, I feel like, that you at least see often in day-to-day like a very online and aware of the world type of like person in Christianity.
Right.
Not to say that we're the only ones. I'm sure like people
you guys are out there.
Yeah, like if you're listening to this, you probably met us through some sphere of like Christianity or like being online, but also like in your day-to-day, like you walk into a church, not many people are gonna understand like, into Club we're all fam, you know? Like, you know, like I can't say that to anybody if I walked into the sanctuary, because then it would just be that skit. But here, we got it, you know?
In this club.
In the Club we're all fam.
But on that, should we talk about like how we even met? Like,
yeah,
I
think
perfect
segue.
Yeah,
yeah, I think, let's start with, let's just jump into how we were introduced.
Okay,
which
yeah.
Is
what a weird,
strange.
everything about our friendship is strange, but like in a good way. Yeah.
It fits.
Yeah, it is. Like, why not? You know, I like think about how you befriended whatever people that are now the closest to you. Like, I'm curious if anyone else has anything that comes close to what I'm about to say.
And if it does, you better send it in.
Yes,
to us.
please.
We want to read it.
We do. But yeah, one day, I don't even think my husband Luke was like at service with us for some reason. It's just me.
He wasn't.
Yeah, he wasn't. He must have been traveling or something. But my brother Jacob and I, we were like standing in like I think it was like the second row on the right side of our church auditorium, like between like kind of that transition time of music. The worship just ended and we're about to like receive the sermon, and so there's like a little bit of a moment of like announcements and whatever. I think I'm thinking of the right
little passing of the peace moment
passing of the
for
peace.
you church
people.
Yeah,
exactly. And the youth pastor at our church just like not like far away from us. Like he's not sitting next to us. He's not even like 2 seats away. He's like down the end of the row. He like looks at me and Jacob and he's like, "Hey, you guys need to be friends with these two." And it's Nick and Faith, Faith's husband.
My husband Nick, yeah. And we're like at least 2 rows between you.
Yeah.
More than likely. Like, I think it was, like, at least 3 rows, and there are people in those rows. It's not like, empty where it's like, oh, we can easily lock eyes and say, hi.
Like, who?
Which, I will say, like, the youth pastor, I think, or the family pastor felt comfortable because, like, Nick and I are
true,
good, like, close with
you already have rapport with them.
Because we do serve in, like, children's ministry. And so, it was just so wild that he to you guys he was like, you need to be friends with them, and then he got our attention and he was like, you guys need to be friends with them, and pointed, and I was like,
and then at this point it's already the end of the passing the peace. Like they're already about to announce stuff, so like we can't even like fumble. Like it's already weird to like go that far away.
Yeah, we can't say hi more. We can't say more than hi.
Can't wait. Yeah.
Also, I'm not a shy person, but I don't know if we had more time. I don't know how likely it is that I would have walked to your row and been like, hi.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, okay.
See ya. But yeah, so we just waved awkwardly at each other and kind of giggled about it, and then scripture was being read.
Yeah. And then so much time had passed because I think I told you this, I can't remember, but like maybe a few weeks later, this must have been like in the summertime and you guys were like traveling or something, because I didn't see you guys for the next few weeks. And then I was telling probably the one person who I'm sure she knows you now, but at the time didn't know who you were. And I was trying to describe you guys to her. I was like, yeah, Stephen pointed out this couple to us that like we should be friends with, but I haven't seen them. I don't know their name. She's like, oh, like she's like, I go to this church, like I've been here for a while, like describe them to me. And I was like, the guy, he has like curly hair and he wears the bandanas a lot and he's been wearing a lot of tie-dye shirts, and I'm like describing how like you guys fit and your vibe, and she's like, I literally don't know who you're talking about. And then I didn't see you guys like for a while, and it might have also been like we go to different services. So I just saw, I was like, I think Steven like gaslit us. Like, I think this couple doesn't exist. Because, like, who are they? And then, fast forward, we, like, befriended, like, the very small handful of, like, college-age kids that are, not kids, adults that were, like, going to our church, or at least visiting at the time. And from him meeting the same family pastor was, like, do you guys have a college ministry? And he was like, no, we don't, but yeah, we probably should have something for young adults because like there's more of you now. And then he reached out to me and Luke the next day and was like, hey, you guys should connect with Nick and Faith. I was like, oh yeah,
those people.
Yeah. And it's her young adult group. So maybe you guys could like go. It was like, or basically getting set up on a blind date, like
it absolutely was, because he was like, I don't know, just like go to their house and have lunch or something. And I was like, do you know how it works with strangers? Like, have you ever met one? I don't know if he has, honestly. But
probably
like,
not.
So he talked to you guys separately, and then he talked to us. We had like finished up with the like morning service of like our children's ministry, our middle and high school ministry, and then we were sitting there, and he said, "Oh, like a guy came up to me. He was really interested in like a college group, same thing, and then was like, I think that you guys and Luke and Asia would be great doing that together." And I was like, I love that, I'm in, but like, how do you know that we'd be great at this together? Yeah. Because we've never been together. Like there is no evidence.
It's like an arranged marriage.
He really did. He's just like a puppet master. Yeah, and we were like, okay, we'll go do lunch after church one day.
It'll be great. And then, okay, like, knowing Nick now, it just is so funny that this is what we decided our meal to be. Luke at the time was hyperfixating on all the meals he could make on a Blackstone. And he was like, you know what? Philly cheesesteak time. And he, made everyone Philly cheesesteaks. I think we did find out that you were pescatarian. Maybe?
I
don't remember how
was
we found out.
scared to mention it because I don't want things to be tailored just to me.
Right.
So I was like, I was like panicking to Nick
like,
because I was like, oh my gosh, we're going to these people's house. They want to cook us food, and like I can't eat any meat right now, like because I was like just starting out, so I didn't really know how to like do that in a conversation, and so I was like panicking, and Nick was like, just tell them, and I was like, but what if they don't have anything that I can like eat, and then they feel bad, and I was like, so I'm just not. I shouldn't say anything. And then finally you asked, like, are there any allergies or anything? And I was like, not an allergy, but I am pescatarian. And then Asia, of course, was like, okay, cool. But I was like stressing.
How are they going to take this? And then Nick famously doesn't like peppers. He doesn't like a lot of things, actually.
No peppers, no onions, no tomato. Like anything that you could put in a Philly cheesesteak other than Philly cheese and steak.
That Philly cheese.
The Philly cheese and steak. He's out on.
Yeah. So we didn't know. And we just like made this whole thing. We did make like a shrimp po' boy or something for Faith.
It was I think it was just a veggie bun.
Oh, it was a yeah. But yeah, so it just was funny that we like didn't know. And I feel like Jacob was more talkative because he and Nick connected on 2K.
Which Jacob doesn't really play.
Yeah, he doesn't.
He's
just being nice.
And like he knows of it, and Nick is like in deep on 2K. Mm-hmm. So then they just essentially faked a conversation.
They really did.
About video games. I think I talked a little bit to you guys about video games, just like Switch and like Fortnite. Yeah. But yeah, I
just like grasping for straws. Like, I don't know what these people like.
It's not like you just went to an event together. Yeah. It's not like you have something immediately
like
shared.
An intimate meal.
Yeah, like us. I'm on their back porch. I've just met them. I'm eating their food that they cooked me, and I don't know anything except for their names and that their house is really cool because I got to see their house.
Oh yeah.
But like other than that, I was like, it was like stereotypical like. What do you like?
Yeah. Tell me about you.
And then in the moment you're like, I don't know anything about me. You know?
I know nothing. I know no things.
I just exist. I don't know.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Oh my gosh. But then, so we had the meal and it was good. And then we started like hosting young adult group at our house. And it was really funny because like when we first started, people would leave. It always started at like 6:37. People would leave around like 8:30 or so, and then it was like a very obvious barometer of our closeness because like you wouldn't even believe now that like people are like feeling bad that they have to go home because they have to work the next day. They're leaving at like 11:30 or midnight. And so. Times have changed, but it was just really funny to see like you could just kind of tell there was like a switch of like, or I don't even know what it was. Like we went from like niceties and just getting to know each other, and it was like a slow burn romance. Yeah.
I eat that up. I love that.
Exactly.
I did want to say before, so going back a little bit to like first impressions. I knew of you before we met.
Okay.
So I had seen. Someone from the church, you had catered food for, like, you had cooked a meal for them.
Right.
And I saw the, like, spread of this food. So, Asia, like, catered a meal for them for, like, a special, like, birthday or something. And I saw it, and I was like, that's so cool. And then I clicked your tag, because I was just like, who is this? And then I was like, that she goes to church with me. And so then I was like, I've seen her around. I remember telling Nick that, like, I saw you and Jacob and I was like, they look so cool. Like they dress so cool. They look so cool. And then I saw that you cooked this meal and I like clicked your like profile and I like saw that like some of the like artsy things you've done and like all of that. And I was like, what the heck? She's so cool. Like what? And so then when we met, I was like a little intimidated in my head oh my gosh, like she's really cool. And I'm just like here and like I know of her. She doesn't know anything about me.
I tried, okay? I tried to get the scoop, but I didn't know.
Also, I love that someone was like, don't know them. And I've been going to that church since 2017.
For so long.
What do you mean you don't know me?
Hope you feel seen.
So seen, yeah. Okay, but we can keep pressing forward now.
Okay,
I just needed to talk about
Yeah,
that.
no, that was... I don't know if I knew that.
I don't think you did. But by the time I remembered it, I was like, that's going to be great on the pod.
We did talk... Okay, like, sidestepping for a second. We were talking about how running this podcast together is going to be a little bit of a struggle. It's me character building because I feel like, not impromptu, but like, we just like text each other all the time as soon as something happens.
We live tweet.
We do live tweet style text each other, and I'm like, what are we gonna do? Because like we got to save some. I want like the reaction for the podcast, like, but
You
I
have
don't know
no
how to
idea
do.
my stupid list in my phone. So I like have been like, I'm gonna save it for the pod, and then I don't.
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm just yapping.
Mhm.
My stupid list in my phone has one thing on it, and it's not related to me at all. I'm like, it's so dumb, and my notes app looks so stupid. I wrote it in there like yesterday after I saw something
my gosh.
online,
Uh-huh.
and it's literally. I'll say what it is. We do not have to talk about it because
Okay.
it's so unrelated. We'll talk about it in the future, maybe. It's that stupid Nintendo alarm.
Dude, it's so dumb. I think what gets me is the square or rectangular
Like
shape
interface
in a circle.
on the circle.
Yeah, wild.
But yeah, I saw it on TikTok and I wrote it with like 3 question marks, and then I looked at it and I was like, this is not what it's meant for. This is not what I'm supposed to be putting on here. I'm supposed to talk about me, but I just can't stop thinking about the stupid Nintendo alarm. Anyways, talked a little bit with like our young adult group.
Mhm.
It's like you can see the progression of that, like just our group's friendship, and like maybe that's what brought us more in friendship. Do you remember a specific moment?
I don't know. I honestly don't know because like, yeah, you started telling me about like how you were thinking about streaming.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think like we just had a little bit more to talk about that point because
Yeah.
like I was like, oh yeah, I stream too. I know that was like the beginnings of it, of how it kind of
Yeah.
accelerated, but I don't really remember what something clicked at some point.
It was, I don't know. I know that it was like, we had talked about how I wanted to start streaming.
Right.
And then I did.
Yeah.
And I know we like hung out. I hung out in your stream. You hung
Mhm.
out in mine. And then like, I think it was, I said something about working remote. Maybe that's where it kind of
Maybe,
kicked
yeah.
off, is that I was like, oh yeah, I work remote once a week. And so then Asia was like, you should work over here.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
That's fine with me. Like, normally I just sit at home with my dog
Mhm.
and do whatever work I can. But she was like, just come over and we can, co-work together. And I was like, I love that. So then, yeah, we started doing that without the stream. So
Yeah,
it was just
just hanging
us
out, yeah.
hanging out. It was this.
It was literally
but
just
with a
this.
laptop in
Yeah.
front of me. Yeah, and so I guess maybe that was it, that we were
Yeah,
spending
probably.
more than
like
just
one-on-one time.
Yeah, it wasn't just like young adult group. It wasn't just church. It was like we finally had this time where it was like us outside of that.
Mhm.
Maybe that's
Yeah.
where it kind of like took off.
That probably is right.
Yeah.
At that
Maybe, yeah.
psychology moment.
Yeah, using my degree, whatever.
You know, use it for something.
Yeah, I got to, for real. But yeah, so yeah, we co-worked together, and then I ended up, I don't think we streamed until I started my new job.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like, for timeline's sake, we became friends.
Yeah. Give people the timeline.
Was that a year ago or 2?
Maybe like a year and a half, maybe.
It was a little
Honestly.
bit before the fall. It wasn't
Yeah.
fall quite yet. So maybe it's been about a year and some change.
Yeah.
So yeah, we became friends, or like started doing young adult group and became friends in like summer, fall of last. Was that really only last year?
Wait, no.
That feels so wrong
That's
to
2
me.
years.
It's been
No, I don't remember.
no, I
dead
think
air time.
it's
I don't know. For our
When
listeners,
did
she's
we
really
become-
thinking so hard
yeah,
right now.
for audio, I'm like really scratching my head. I don't know.
A little while ago.
It's been, we'll say a year and a half.
Okay, yeah. Let's just say
Whatever.
that.
It's fine. It's fine.
Close enough.
But yeah, so we were friends for about like, I guess a little over a year, and then that's when I started my new job. Or I guess it
Yeah.
wouldn't have even been quite a year yet. I don't
Mhm.
know. But I started my new job, and I was like, I don't know. I don't get a remote day yet. Like,
And yeah,
I'm just gonna like,
those are the dark days.
Oh, the worst. Not having a remote day, and it was like for 90 days, I think.
Yeah, it was long.
Yeah, it was like 3 months, and so then I was like, finally got my remote day in the summer, and Asia was like, "What if we do a co-working stream, like co-working IRL, but on stream?" And that's like kind of
what took it off. Yeah.
But yeah, I guess it would have been my remote days where I spent over here where we were like actually becoming more of like friends, not just like we're in a community group together. Yeah.
Yeah, because like we would hang out and talk in community group, but like I feel like it was like, okay, we're talking to everyone, like either as a group or having our small conversations here and there throughout the night versus like, here, let's hang out for like 6 hours, just the two of us.
Yeah.
While we joke around and get work done. So that probably is what happened. I love it. Honestly, for me, it was nice too, because like, we're gonna like unpack down the road like some Enneagram episode because we've been taking this Enneagram class and all of that. But personality wise, like Faith is definitely extroverted and I am not. I'm introverted. Though I do, that's a whole, we'll talk about it later. But like I am like, I feel the need in a good way to be engaged with people even if I am introverted. But it is nice as an introvert to like have like one-on-one time versus like really connecting with someone like in a group is sometimes harder for me. So I think that was like a really perfect like storm to like create this manic friendship.
Yeah because even I'm extroverted and like literally like this right here will like fuel me for the rest of the day, and I'll be like nonstop, and Nick's gonna be like, please stop talking.
let me just tell you about it again,
because Nick is not extroverted. I'll play him this whole episode from memory verbally.
And then you'll tell him to listen to it.
But that is like, even with we have like, at this point we have almost 20 people that come to our young adult group, and it started with like 6 of us.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Which is wild to see the growth and like what the Lord's done in like our church too, to like bring out all the young adult people. But yeah, so like even for me, like, in a room of 20 people, I love to talk, but I'm not gonna try to make some giant conversation happen. Right. That overwhelms me. So like, those Tuesdays, they were, good for you as an introvert to like have one-on-one time, but also nice for me to like actually get to hear like about you and learn about you as a person, and not just be like, oh, I remember I talked to her about this TV show across the room while I shouted over literally 70 people or whatever, so that was good for me too. And awesome. Also just a nice way to like be extroverted but not feel like I have to be like on
totally. Yeah It's really interesting, like me and my brother Jacob and Luke too, because all three of us are introverted, which is so funny. And my brother Jacob lives with us. We talk about how like we are all introverted, but when we have like a specific amount of people, it's like not even like there's not really rhyme or reason to it, but they're like specific people that aren't like draining, and you're one of those people for me. Thanks. So yeah, it's just like funny how that works. Like, and that's like nothing negative to say about people who it is draining. It's just like there are just some people that like their presence like doesn't take away from you. It's like you're like at a stasis. I've
never watched it, but on What We Do in the Shadows, there's like the energy vampires.
Oh, I've heard it. I haven't watched it either, but yeah.
They literally just like drain the like energy like from people, like the life out of people. And like I don't like, there are people that I'm friends with that I love and I love spending time with, and I would spend all day with them because I'm extroverted and I love that. But also like there are days where like I spend with some of those friends that are, it's nothing wrong with them or with me. It's just like, it's like having to be on in a sense, like, oh, I need to present a certain thing to like kind of communicate well in our friendship or whatever. Just kind of giving them the response that they really want and desire, and like what they deserve too, as like, being a good friend. But like there are days where like I'll spend days with those friends and I have a great time and I love all of it, but then I come home and I'm like crashed on the couch, totally, But yeah, I think that like what's been really cool is like seeing like with our friendship we do young adult group, we hang out way too late, and it ends up that like Nick and I are on their couch watching TV with them or something, or like we'll be at church and afterwards we're like, do you want to watch that episode of Psych together? And so it is cool to like it's almost like our friendship has crossed into the line of more like family, which is really sweet. But like that's the way I am with my family, is that like, yeah, sure, they frustrate me sometimes, right, and like of course they, you know, it can be draining to be around family, but at the same time it's like I can be comfortable and like turn off around my family and no one's gonna like judge me for that or like expect otherwise. And so like I feel that here, that like when Nick and I are over or if we're like hanging out or whatever, it's like I don't have to be like extroverted, really wow woo Faith. I can be like chill menace Faith in my peace. And so I think that's I think our friendship has like crossed into this like family feel, which is really sweet.
I love that.
Yeah,
that's so good. So nice. I think one thing that's also interesting about our friendship, and I think like many of you probably can relate, is I gotta acknowledge it, there's like an age gap. There's an age difference between the two of us. So I am currently 31. Right, yeah, queen. 31.
Yeah, and I am 24.
So, you know, just normal things.
Like... Yeah, it is funny because I think we both have, like, siblings around the age of the other. Like, my sister is in, like, her early 30s.
And Jacob, my brother, is a year younger than Faith, I think. Yeah.
I think it's a little over a year. It's, like, something like that. Yeah. But, yeah, so it's, like, it's interesting because, like, our friendship doesn't feel like, it feels sibling like and family like, but not in the same sense of like how I relate with my sibling, right, you know? So it is, I don't know, it's interesting. I also like, I don't know, I don't think I've ever had friends until we did young adult group that were so different in age. Like, I think most of my friends most of the time have been my age, like or younger, or
3 year
year or two or whatever. But yeah, I think that, I don't know, it's just really cool, like, I remember when we were, like, first becoming friends, and I would, like, Asia is so wise, okay? She probably would not ever say that about herself, but, like, truly, like, I think there's just, like, wisdom that you've gained in, like, having life that you've lived beyond what, like, I've lived. Not, like, dramatically longer at all. So much life. No, she's not, like, old grandma wisdom. It's like your best friend, older sister wisdom. And, like, I could come to Asia and be like, oh my gosh, this thing is driving me insane. And all I want to do is just, like, be angry about it and fight about it, or, like, just ignore it until it goes away. And then Asia is like, okay, could do that, but like, let me just tell you, like, she's like, okay girl, I hear you, but let me tell you what, you know, what's worked for me, like, because like the big thing for me was like friendship as an adult. Like, I remember that was like a key...
we can pack that in so many episodes.
We can, yes. Like, a key moment in our friendship, I think, though, was like me being like, I'm struggling with my other friendships because I don't know how to be friends as an adult with a job and a husband and a family and like all of these things. And like, Asia was like, here's a book that I love and here's this wisdom, let me just tell you, and like, let me tell you about my like friendships whenever I was like doing that same thing. And so I think that like I do, like, in our friendship, having that age gap, it's not dramatic. It's not like Asia's old, okay? I don't want that to come across at all. Asia is not old, okay? She's so young and youthful, just like me. Honestly, I probably present older than Asia does.
I thought that I was in my 20s.
You give 20s. Like, I'm like, it's like, I'm sure when you said you were 31 just now, people were like, no way.
Cannot be.
Thanks. But, yeah, I think that, like, having a friendship with a little bit of age difference means that, like, it's just a good perspective, like, different perspective than, like, if I called up a friend that has had the exact same life as me and has done the same thing and is the same age and, like, we're just struggling together rather than, like, filling each other, you know?
Yeah, filling each other is a great, like, I guess, like, way to frame it, because I think what's interesting is I feel that I do think I get like wisdom from you as well, or just like perspective. Yeah, because like while we are very similar and in the way that we think through things, which is why I do think like it's easy to like speak into like struggles that you have or whatever, or and that I have. I think at the same time, because faith feels called by the Lord to fight. I think that's like an intensity that I need. And so I've actually really appreciated like through our friendship, just like you helping me feel empowered to like lean in when I need to, and I'm like, it's deserved to, and like not, I don't know, like not losing myself in the background. I'm very much about like, you know, like I said, like keeping the peace. If I feel like everyone's good like with each other, then I kind of like I have the tendency to just like step back and like just relax, which I think can be a good thing. I think there's like a healthy version of that, but a not healthy version of that is just like really like, it's not even like acknowledging my own needs and ignoring them. It's just like if I just am numb to it the whole time, I like can't even, there's nothing to perceive because like I am not aware either. And I think like Faith does a really good job of like helping me see those things and have a healthy view of self, not just like no view of self. And I just really appreciate that about you. I think that's really cool.
Thank you. But yeah, I think both of those things come from, obviously, like you said, like we're similar, but we're different. And we'll talk more. I think like our Enneagram episode that's coming soon. I think that'll like really give you an insight of what our friendship is like beyond just like what we perceive, but also just like literally according to this text.
Yeah.
This is how we work. But I think that's like the age gap plays into that of like we just are in different, like, I don't know, like it's almost like same stage of life but different times. I don't know, it's hard to explain, but like we're same but different, which works. All I'm saying is that if you're my age, go out and find a 30-year-old, be the friend.
It's very fun.
Just not Asia, she's my friend. I'm kidding. Kind of.
Do with that what you will. But one thing though, I'll like lose it forever and it'll never come back to me in my brain. But one thing that I think I'd also appreciate is we both have a shared sense of like, I don't know how to say it beyond just like hopeful realism. Like I think we're both like big on like life is hard sometimes, and like we talk about delulu dreams and stuff like that, and like all and that I feel like it empowers it, but like in, you know, with that there always are like times that are hard. There are like weird like interpersonal stuff going on, weird internal things going on, things you can't control all the time, and I think in that either like two extreme reactions is, one is like be like hopeful and like positive but like not acknowledge that stuff is going on, and like I think that can just lead to repression, which is like not good. But then on the flip side, I think like where there's so much space to mourn with those who mourn and to commiserate, like when you're like angry, frustrated with stuff, like there's so much space for that. I don't want to say there's no space for hope, there's no space for commisery, but like I think when you can do both well, like acknowledge that life is really hard sometimes and I feel you too, like empathize, like not like try to like make people forget about it, like let them acknowledge it, but then also like have a path forward. I think that like really is what is life-giving, and I think like there are times where you know, friends can be one or be the other, and I think like there's nothing wrong with either of those, but I really appreciate with you that you're I think we both are like big on like let's be angry about this together, or acknowledge this together, but then also like your life isn't over, like we'll figure it out.
And I think that also in that sense like we balance each other out well where like I do think that in our in that idea of feel that, let's move on from it. I think that like oftentimes it's that I'm being like, no, feel that anger, feel that feeling, and then it's just like, okay, let's move on now. You know, not in a way of being like throw it under
like
the
learn
rug.
from it and
but
move
like
forward. Yeah,
let's take that in stride, let
Yes.
it wash over you, feel it, and then move through and keep going.
Yeah.
And so I think that like our personalities kind of give that balance of the two, and so you put us together and we're like an unstoppable force. Okay,
Here we
like
are.
you feel it and then go on
Yes,
and conquer
exactly.
it. Okay. I do think that's like a great segue into delulu.
Look at this.
Right?
Good segue.
Yeah, I know.
We're professionals.
Slagging.
Yeah.
So delulu came out of us having these like hopeful but somewhat realistic, sometimes not realistic,
Sometimes not.
but these like dreams that we've had, and we just like at first it was just that we were like laughing about because at the time when we were starting our streams and everything, delulu was huge.
Yeah.
Like it was like delulu is the salulu, may all your delulus come tralulu, all of the things. And we both were like, we just felt that. Like,
which for anyone who is listening and is not tracking with that term, can you
so
define
delulu is, as Webster Dictionary, delulu is just short for delusional, or delusions. And so we felt that like we both create content, we both have this good friendship, and why not just live and lean into those delusions that we have that maybe are super unrealistic, or maybe they aren't.
Yeah.
Like, and it comes into that like empowering each other and like I think delulu came out of us being like, here are these delusions, I'm sharing them with you because I trust you and I'm being vulnerable. And like I think I can at least speak for myself and say that like I share a delusion and I'm like, and then it's just like, oh my gosh, me too.
It does feel vulnerable though.
It does.
You're just like, this is this thing that I've been thinking about that maybe is kind of cool. I don't know. Maybe it's stupid. You're like, whatever. You're like feeling like internal turmoil for whatever reason. Just like sharing that with other people. And like I feel like in the safeness of this friendship, we were able to start like sharing those ideas with each other. Yeah.
And so, we like, I think the original one was that we were texting about something and you mentioned like your dream of like really pursuing content full time. And I could tell it was like you being like, okay, I had this crazy idea. Like I don't know, it's not really realistic, whatever, but like Asia was like, I would just really love to do content full time and like lean into, my like content creation, my aesthetic, these things. And I responded, I was like, oh my gosh, I literally just started scheduling my posts and putting reminders on my phone because I also want to. And so then it was like, oh, well then the easy thing is that our delusion is our content empire.
Exactly.
We're going to run the world together.
I feel like we're so meta for that.
For real. Welcome to our podcast that's leading us to our content empire. That's our delusion, and here's our delusion.
You're getting on the ground floor right now.
Buy in now before we go big.
Exactly.
If you're watching right now, you can years from now go, I watched their first episode.
It's true.
Came out, and
you can have that clout.
I did it before you did.
Yeah. Exactly.
But yeah, I think that's kind of like how delulu started.
Yeah.
Is there anything that I like?
I think that was pretty much it. Like one thing led to the other because we started like sharing like other dreams. I mentioned one on like a vlog for my own content, but like we talked about like starting a cozy cafe where you could play games. Like obviously there are like a ton of cozy cafes where like one that's like, yes, a used bookstore, yes, sells like coffee and cafe things, but also like a non icky toxic version of like internet cafe essentially.
Yeah,
where you can hang out with your girlies and like get cozy and play games on your Switch and whatever. So we just like started sharing dreams like that, and I don't know, it's just interesting how everything fell into place because like what really played a big role in that as we started like labeling everything delulu was when we started streaming together for the co-working streams. We started calling that delulu, and what's so funny is like this like kind of like a merger, like a blended family of like my community and Faith's community. Yeah. It's so interesting because like Faith I feel like already had exuded like girly pop vibes in her own like brand version of that. And so with a lot of that came like a very girly pop like community. And what's really funny is like I feel like mine is like also like a blended family of mine and Luke's, because Luke also streams, and so it was so funny because it was like introducing the like concept of delulu to my community, while like as soon as Faith started streaming with me, like her oh my gosh, her community started coming like blazing in, like so excited to be there, and my community was like, oh hello, we've just been listening to lo-fi and chilling and vibing.
I brought the chaos. No, it like the perfect example for what my community was like was that literally someone just joined my Discord a few days ago, and their name is Poop is my favorite, and their first message was, ignore my name, it's a meme.
Dude, that really is like that's a perfect snapshot of
there's my community. And then Asia's community really is like, it's so cozy, it's so welcoming. No one was like upset by the merger not at all. Everybody
like,
was
Delulu
they
mean?
Like took it in stride.
They really did.
And so it was like this perfect combo of like, here is my chaos and here is Asia's chill, and we've created this.
It's true. So this is another product of that. So I think you're enjoying this so far.
Yeah, we've been yapping.
We've been yapping, cozy on the couch, but a little chaotic. I did when I was like, hopefully the audio sounds good. I was adjusting the levels. It is crazy how much gain my mic needs and how much gain Faith does not need at all.
And that's us.
Yeah, exactly.
You can see us in everything.
It's true.
In mic gain levels.
Everything is a metaphor.
For us.
For us.
The world revolves around us.
It's true.
Yeah, but so we started delulu Co, and we essentially just pretend that that's our company already. We're like co-working together. People are like, wait, do you work together? And we're like, no.
Actually, no.
I mean, physically we're in the same space. We are working together, but we work at two different places. We do two very different things. Right. Like, we work in two very different worlds. And so it is like we've just created this imaginary corporation, or company, whatever you want to call it. Co-op.
Exactly.
That's what Asia's leaning into. Yeah. And so we've like created that, and so now our podcast is just, so let's imagine an org chart. and
this is your brain.
Yeah. I like texted Asia about the podcast. I was like, here, I'm gonna just write an org chart up of like us. And so it's like there's Faith OK that branches out, and there's Asia the girl that branches out, and in the middle we have this shared little circle that says okay girl. And
exactly.
So that's where you are now.
It's the Venn diagram for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, unrelated to what we're talking about, kind of. I just love how Faith is a unique beautiful butterfly girl, because on one hand she is so chaotic, but also she really does think in terms of org charts and spreadsheets, and like it doesn't make sense. It really should not work, but that really is like who she is. I don't understand it, but
the Enneagram test fears me.
Like
personality tests fear me. Like, what
who
is that? She said she loves analytics, but she hates sitting at a desk.
Make it make sense.
She hates Excel with her whole heart, but she loves a spreadsheet. What do you mean?
Exactly.
But yeah, so yeah, my brain thinks in org charts, and I'm working on an org chart. It's fine.
While Faith is, chaotic with her spreadsheet mind, I, on the other hand, when it was like this like random moment, like viral moment where people were like communicating how they visualize the months of the year, I'm over here like trying to explain to people how in my mind all the months like create a figure eight, and this is like the first half of the year and it feels like its own year, and then like June and July, the summer months, are like transitions into the fall, which is like another like beginning of the year. And Faith was like, your brain is literally not, there's no way. Like
meanwhile I visualized a literal calendar.
Yeah. You're like,
it's like,
what do you mean?
I see them in a row.
Like
a straight line.
Like you're supposed to. That's what a calendar is.
Oh my god.
But yeah, we're unique and together. But so back to delulu Co. One of my favorite moments so far of delulu Co was my boss, who also is my friend, who also like knows Faith because he used to live here. He was taking a meeting with me, and I work for obviously like a remote company because I work from home. there was one of the calls I was taking where you could see like part of Faith's shoulder, and he like he knows that like she streams with me and that I stream work sessions, and he was like, oh, that's so cool, like Faith's there, you guys are streaming. I was like, yeah. And then I was explaining to him for the first time, I was like, yeah, so we started calling these streams delulu, and I'm like kind of embarrassed like telling him about like what the meaning behind that is. And I just loved his reply, because I was like, this is the fuel we need.
Yeah.
He was like, what's so crazy is maybe one day you guys will be like co-partners of delulu. And I was like,
the girlies that get it, get it.
They really
he was
are
one of the girlies.
Yes, he is a girly for sure. So yeah, I think that's all the validation. We didn't even need a validation, but that's all the validation.
Yeah, we don't need any
validation.
Okay, girl, we don't need your validation.
But we'll welcome it, please. Yes, and
validate us, please. But no, I don't need it.
Keep coming.
But I think that summarizes delulu. Yeah, and then that led us here, which we've talked about what okay girl is, and hopefully this is like a good first episode, leading you into like just what we're like in our delusions. And I don't know. So this is okay girl. We did it, our first episode. We'll see how long this ends up being.
It's probably long.
Here's another delusion that happened. We were like, how long do we want the episodes to be? And I said 40 minutes feels good. It feels like it's not too much for people, and they'll be sick of us, and it's not too short where they're wanting more. Give the people what they want, and 40 minutes is what the people want. And I think we've been going for probably
not almost an hour.
But this is okay girl. We are so happy that you're here and that you found us however you found us. I'm
honestly so impressed by you for finding us
for real. Welcome.
Welcome
Kickstarter.
Yes.
that's you. To recap, I think that like all the like everything we've talked about is just getting to know us, getting to know our friendship. We are same but different font, essentially. I think like we share a lot in common, and that's what's gotten us to our initial friendship. But now as we've like jumped into friendship more deeply, we've noted like we see our differences and then just like live in that and like expand upon those differences and just like love each other through them, unless it's about Asia's Amazon list, which we'll talk about one day. I will not love her through that one. And she probably won't love me through the way that I say yolk. That's for my streamer our streamer community. But that's friendship is what you make of it, and it's all about just communicating and like getting to know one another well and loving them well. And like you're not gonna have a good friendship if you don't see the differences and the similarities and live in that
and value them.
And so go find your bestie out there, and then tell us
please
about your besties about your delusional bestie stories, how you met, crazy dreams that you have with your best friend. I don't care what it is. I just want to
We want to know.
Yeah.
Nothing is off the table, okay?
What the people think. But yeah, like, I don't care how unhinged it is, as long as it's nothing too crazy. I don't know. I'll still read it.
You be the judge of what's too crazy.
Yeah, we would love for you to email us those, or even just DM us on one of our socials. We have all of that information linked everywhere. So find us on those. Send us your delusions with your friends or just about you or whatever. And then don't forget to rate, review, subscribe.
Sorry, we're not trying to be pick me girls, but yeah, please, can you please?
Yes, rate, review, subscribe. Literally, if you just like put that you in like a like on the episode, save the episode, 5-star the episode. I'm not gonna sway you, but like this is a 5-star episode. Let's be real.
That's so for real now.
But if you just leave any sort of engagement so that we can keep doing this. And I mean, obviously you can 1 stars. You're not gonna stop me. but we
love too. So.
Yeah, we love and we love validation, even if we don't need it. Exactly. And so rate, review, subscribe, follow, give us your firstborn, anything else that you can think of, we would appreciate it.
And always remember, if you are feeling that you want to wear a bandana, you should just do it, because don't let people drag you down, even if someone calls it a head covering and it makes you question everything. Just power through it, because you are brave, you're beautiful, and you deserve to have your cute bandana moment. Okay, that's all.
You guys don't know, but there's a mirror in front of Asia. She said that all to herself.
Exactly. But I'm Asia the girl.
And I'm Faith Okay.
Thanks for hanging with us, besties.
Bye, besties.
So close. That was so good. That was so fun.
We did it.
Yay.